my name's Janet Sheriff. I am the founder of Newfoundland Gold. We are a marketing group of industry leaders in exploration and mining in Newfoundland. And today I am joined by three panelists of leaders operating in the jurisdiction, and I welcome all of them today. We have Mark Scott from Gander Gold, GAND on the CSE. Welcome, Mark. Also joining us is Joel Freudman, and with True Precious Metals, which is TRU on the TSXV, and Rob Brueggemann from CanStar Resources, ROX on the TSXV. We're going to have a brief presentation from each presenter in that order, and then we're going to come back together, answer any questions, and have a little discussion on regulatory certainty. Hopefully everybody knows that Marathon was recently approved to move forward with their mine, and we couldn't be happier for them. But I will hand it over to Mark, and I will run the screen for you. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you, Janet, and thank you everybody who's in attendance. Pleased to be with you to introduce Gander Gold this morning, which is a brand new company just listed on March 8th, 2022 on the CSE under the symbol GAND. Gander is a spin out of Sassy Resources Corporation, and we're pleased to be able to say that now Gander's been up and trading and running on its own, standing on its own 2 feet for about the last month. I'm going to give a brief introduction to the company, make some forward-looking statements. I'm sure everybody has seen these disclaimer slides many times, so bear that in mind as we talk about the prospectivity of the significant land position that Gander Gold has acquired and is in the process of exploring in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Last year, through 4 separate option agreements, Gander Gold, when it was a private subsidiary of Sassy Resources, put together significant claim position, 9,032 claims across 8 different project areas on the island of Newfoundland that covers in total 2,257 square kilometers of ground prospective for gold, copper, and some other elements on the island. So we're very happy with the ground that we've picked up, the location, the first pass, early stage work that we've done on that ground, which in 2021 consisted of better than 21,000 soil and till samples collected, along with fixed weighting mag VLF surveys and LiDAR surveys that were run across all of our ground, and some smaller volumes of prospecting and GT probe sampling that we did with ground truth exploration in follow-up to some of the early soils that we took in 2021. So if you just move ahead, Janet, we're very pleased with the team we've put together at Gander, the ground that we have, the financial backing that we have from our 2 major shareholders, Sassy Resources Corporation and Eric Sprott. The team is a very experienced one. The board is made up of myself, Harry Coughlin, Kate McLaughlin, Stephanie Hart, Ken Booth, and Richard Savage, all of whom have long, successful track records of experience in the industry and bring a variety of perspectives to the industry, be it geology, mine engineering, finance, and accounting backgrounds. So we have the right mix of experience on the board to provide really dynamic and strong leadership for Gander Gold as the company grows and matures. The share structure is a tight public float because of the positions held by the 2 controlling shareholders, Sassy Resources Corporation and Eric Sprott. It's quite a tight public float of under 22 million shares free trading, and we think that bodes well for the trading that we'll see and the price behavior we'll see in Gander over the coming few months here as the news continues to flow and we get into the 2022 exploration program in follow-up to those very promising early 2021 results. Should move ahead, Janet. So here you can see a map that shows the 8 project areas that Gander Gold has in the province, a number of quite large projects. First, Gander North, which is just northeast of the the town of Gander and starts just 15 kilometers east of Newfound Gold's Keat Zone. It's quite a large contiguous block of claims. It consists of claims that were acquired from both Sean Ryan and Vulcan Minerals. North of Gander North is the Carmenville project. West of there, you can see the BLT, which is Botwood, Lawrencetown, and Thwart Island, combined to make up the BLT project. 4 on the map here is the Mount Peyton project. Gander South consists of a few smaller claim blocks, and then you get down to the south, where the Little River project is next to CanStar's Golden Bay project, and then Hermitage just southeast of there. And then over to the west is the Cape Ray 2 project, which is contiguous to Matador Mining's Cape Ray project. All located in very close proximity to either known or developing significant deposits on the island, all on known structures that we identified in our research and partnership with the folks from whom we optioned these properties, and very promising early results. We've published a little less than half of last year's soil and till sampling results. Look forward to getting the rest of those out in the very near future. From what we have put out publicly so far, we know we've identified some 40 plus linear kilometers of structure on the Gander North project that are overlain by a number of gold and copper anomalies. And then likewise on the Mount Peyton project, better than 22 linear kilometers of structure that's overlain by anomalous gold and copper results. So we very much look forward to getting back to work in 2022 and following up on those very promising early results and developing a series of drill targets over the course of 2022. And so Gander Gold has a brand new website we've just launched, gandergold.com. Certainly invite everybody who's watching today to check out our website for more information on Gander Gold and all of the exciting things we have in development on the island of Newfoundland. And feel free to get in touch with us for any further information. An expanded version of this investor presentation will be available in the next couple of days on the website. So look for that and sign up for news updates to stay tuned to all the exciting developments with Gander in Newfoundland.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate that quick update and look forward to, actually I'd seen the full one, so thank you very much for sending it to me as well. I'm going to ask Joel from True to join us now, and I'm going to drop off the screen when he comes on. Joel, exciting times with True Precious Metals, and I am going to disappear and allow you to take it away.
Sounds good. Thanks, Janet. I just want to pull up our slides here.
Just so you know, Joel, I'm running the slides for you today. Yeah, so I'll just follow along. So yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. So yeah, you can just, hi, I'm Joel Freudman, co-founder and CEO of True Precious Metals. This is our intro slide. It's a picture actually of rock I took from our Golden Rose project with quartz veining. Here's our forward-looking disclaimer slide as well. A couple of reasons to point this out, which I know Mark did as well. I drafted the slide because my background is a securities and mergers lawyer, so it's kind of an unconventional background to run a junior mineral exploration company, but it also speaks to kind of our approach to the company. And given where our strategy is going this year, there are definitely going to be some forward-looking statements in this presentation, so keep that in mind. I think what's worth and sure, we can go to this slide, but I think what's worth pointing out along the topic of forward-looking statements is, you make this disclaimer in the first place because things can go wrong, things don't always go according to plan, and you want to kind of prime people for that. At the same time, I think at this point, we've been in business for a year and a half since really getting going in fall of 2020. And if you look at our track record, we have a pretty demonstrated track record of execution. I'm thinking specifically, if you look at a press release of ours in mid-October of 2020, we set out our strategic objectives in connection with getting into the mineral exploration business. And I would say we subsequently executed on those objectives. So check out our press release. It's probably around October 13th, 14th of 2020. And then again in June of 2021, I think it was June 15th, we again updated the market on our strategy and specific sub-objectives for how we intended to accomplish that strategy. And then subsequently, again, executed on that and kept the market apprised of our progress. So, I'd like to think we've developed a pretty demonstrated track record of executing on the plan we've set out. And along the lines of it being kind of an interesting time for True Precious Metals. If you take a look at our CDI profile this morning, I actually just picked up over $100,000 worth of our stock this morning myself. Go verify for yourself if you don't believe me. So I'm pretty hell bent on delivering the strategic plan we're about to set up for True Precious Metals. So stay tuned. As you can see from this map, the real value proposition here from being an investor in True Precious Metals is the location of our project. We have some other earlier stage properties in the portfolio, which is nice because those are assets on which we could transact for additional kind of value creation. But really the crux of the investment thesis for our company is the Golden Rose project. We control about 45 kilometers of strike length between the only two gold deposits on this entire structural corridor in Newfoundland. So if you look from the bottom left to the top right, you can see this pink line. That would be our neighbor, Matador Mining. They're ASX listed, they have a 50 mil market cap, and they have about 840,000 ounces of gold, like a known resource on their project. If you look to the other side of us, this orange blob in the middle, that's Marathon Gold, TSX listed, 700 million plus market cap, and they have over 4 million ounces of gold. They continue to release very good numbers from their drilling, so they continue to actually build on that 4 million ounces. And if you look in the middle with the orange, is True Precious Metals Gold Project. So we're actually sandwiched between two major gold deposits. We control pretty much all the land between those two, and it's on the same geological or structural corridor, which has been described to me as a string of pearls. So if you and the reason is because on Marathon and Matador's land, they don't actually have a single pit. They have a whole bunch of deposits, small, medium, large. And so our inference and our whole thesis is that structural corridor that runs right through our property for over 45 kilometers of strike length, we would hope would yield similar results upon exploration. And obviously I'm betting heavily on that being the case. We have a little extra benefit, which is that we have a secondary structure that we think is a split kind of what comes up from Matador. So we think we actually have an extra 20 kilometers of very interesting geological features across our property that so far has shown indications at surface of gold and copper. So, in total, you're talking about somewhere around 65 kilometers of very valuable real estate that no one is getting from us unless they buy us out. And in the meantime, we're going to continue to explore and develop it to build value in the company. I think there's some other good sales points about True. We have a strong shareholder base. We have track record of execution. Our largest shareholders, first are Eric Sprott, so Canadian precious metals investor billionaire. Our second largest shareholder is TSX listed Altius Minerals, $1 billion market cap, very savvy Newfoundland-based royalty and project generation company. They optioned us the project for about, at the time, a 20% equity stake. They didn't really get cash out of us, so they're heavily betting on us to deliver on exploring on the property and surfacing the value within the property. I think that's probably, Janet, a good stage to go to the next slide. This is what the Golden Rose project looks like on a close-up. So everything in blue here is stuff we control. We picked up the property from Altius, we optioned it from them, and we're getting actually well along the way to owning 100%. We're well ahead of our option commitments so far. We closed on that option in May of last year. In that time, we spent several $1 million aggressively exploring a wide chunk of the property. As a result, we've identified actually some new gold showings kind of along the north of the property. We actually doubled the size of the property in the 3 months since we picked it up through pretty aggressive property M&A. So we were doing all kinds of things, staking, which is obviously very cost effective, option agreements, as well as outright acquisitions, more than doubled the size of the property because we very much believe in its prospectivity on a geological level, as well as the fact the location is good. So we're certainly in the right neighborhood. There's a known gold zone on the property called the Woods Lake Gold Zone. We completed turned out being a 4,000 meter drill program due to some weather issues, but we completed a 4,000 meter drill program in Q4 of last year. We've at this point published the vast majority of the results, which I'll get to on the next slide, but well, sure. We can show, I guess this sets out the results. I mean, as you can see, we have gold on the property already, and this plays into kind of that string of pearls analogy or imagery I was using, because where this Woods Lake is located is along this shear zone that runs from Marathon all the way through True. And like it's known to run through. The question is whether it's deposit bearing on our property. There's already the indications here. We've clearly got something because we hit gold in probably 9 or 10 out of about 13 or 14 holes in the zone here. And the ones that missed tended to be on the outside of the gold zone or far off exploratory holes. So in this central area, and you can see in the image here, there's clearly the makings of a gold zone. We're not supposed to say deposit or resource. I'm not going to say those things because frankly, it's too early. You don't know if it's economic, but clearly there's gold on the property in meaningful quantities. It's not extremely high grade. The indications for this zone are that it's bulk tonnage. So, we'd need to find a lot more. That would require more drilling. But so far, considering a lot of properties, turn up as basically mostly dusters, I think we've got a very good start going for us with one known gold zone on the property. And still, as I mentioned, tens and tens of kilometers of strike length across 2 structural corridors or 2 important streets in which we hope to turn up more of the same and ideally more at either higher grade or greater quantity. Janet, if you could maybe flip back just for a moment to the previous slide, just that one, thanks very much. So in addition to Woods Lake, which you can see circled in red there towards the bottom of the property boundaries, you can see all these other little red dots: Rose Gold, Jacobs Pond, Mink Pond. There's no fewer than probably 7 or 8 distinct gold showings on the property. A bunch were identified by Altius and previous operators. And these are areas, in a lot of cases, we haven't even sent people to yet. The property is just so huge, and it will take significant money and time to explore it. It is a long-term game, but we're going as aggressively as we can. And the focus right now is on this area in the top center of the map here: Jens Pond, Jacobs Pond, Rose Gold, and specifically Jacobs Pond and Rose Gold. These are along that kind of secondary street that I said. That's about 20 kilometers that runs up, we think runs up from Matador. We've already done extensive soil sampling there. It turned up good grades for both gold as well as copper. So you got kind of an interesting, optionality or kicker upside if we actually do turn up copper on the property. And now we would have, polymetallic indicators, I guess, on our property. And we're currently running an IP survey on the Jacobs Pond and Rose Gold area. And I know people, I've just, to be frank, I've heard people say, oh, IP results, who cares? IP results are supposed to tell you what's under the ground. So it doesn't guarantee that you've got something there, but if you get interesting IP anomalies, you have something at least that's worth, punching a few holes in with a drill. And so definitely keep an eye out over the coming weeks for news on our end in terms of IP survey results at this area, because I do think they will be illustrative of it would be an interesting area to drill. And that is something we have, in terms of a concrete market mover or value catalyst down the road, is drilling in this area at some point in the second half of the year. And now I guess, Janet, you could flip to the final slide, please. This is another area we've got at the property called KG4. This is where we had all kinds of gold at surface, till sampling. There was gold grains on the beach. Like literally, our guys panned gold, which is kind of funny because we're in the 21st century. But our geos went for due diligence, and they were in fact sieving bits of gold out of the lake. We haven't found the source yet. It's still elusive, but we own the property all around it. And so, we're going to continue using advanced exploration methods. I'm probably not going to go panning for more gold myself, but we've done an IP survey there, and you can see this whole horseshoe-shaped purple-pink anomaly. We put a few drill holes in there. There's still a lot to cover, and those would be interesting drill targets. We don't have the results back from those yet, but what we did see in the core were potential indicators for copper. So we haven't found the source of the gold. We have yet to see what kind of numbers we get for gold and copper there, but that's certainly interesting upside. And again, this is only one of about 7 or 8 different gold showings on the property. This wasn't even on the radar when we acquired the property. It wasn't part of the initial package, and our guys just went out and optioned it from the owner of the property. And so that concludes the slides, but I'm just going to give a little bit of insight here onto our broader strategy. Again, my background's as a lawyer, so I'm a lot more transactional, I say, than typical junior mineral exploration public company execs. And I kind of take that view to our business, and we are building a business here. We're not just putting together something short term, because this game is really slow. It has a potential to be value destroying. It requires a lot of patience. I happen to be a pretty impatient guy, so I'd like to take a bit of a different tack to how we run our business. And I think True offers investors, as well as ourselves, and obviously I'm a large investor, tremendous operating and financial leverage. So if you don't look at True so much as just a junior explorer co, and you look at it more as a public company transactional platform, I think the universe of opportunities from which True can create value for shareholders is much wider. Because if you no longer look and say all we can do is explore and drill gold and rose, you might say, well, hey, if we look at this like real estate, we have real estate in the right neighborhood. Someone might want to buy our house one day, and it doesn't have to be through a sale of the company. Like perhaps if we continue our IP survey and go drill and get some good hits on the property later this year, maybe that becomes a juncture at which we start to explore optioning out the property or sale, something to realize value from the property instead of the really long haul of where we're going to need to do more and more dilutive financings, and drill, and we hope we hit every single time to build the value. There might be a point at which the best return on investment or return on our capital is to stop exploring and look to transact on the property. And that mindset really ripples down to the rest of our portfolio. Like we have a number of assets I'm not going to spend your time on here. Several of the assets have already had work done on them. There's some gold in drilling or some early stage gold at surface. Those assets with a few extra dollars are probably the bases for an independent listing of a public company. So we could kind of do something kind of like you've seen with Sassy and Gander Gold. We could do something like spin out those assets as a public company, or we could use them as a listing eligible property to get some other junior exploration company started, and we would take shares from them as part of that transaction. And so then we've not only removed a property that's inactive from our balance sheet, but we've also created some value onto our balance sheet. And so I think between that and our team and our financial leverage, as well as our shareholder base, I think we're well positioned to continue delivering value for shareholders as we explore and transact. And I think that's probably my time. So thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you very much, Joel. Appreciate that. It was a great presentation. Next up, we have Rob from CanStar. CanStar Resources is the newest member in the group at Newfoundland Gold. And Rob, I welcome you to the group. I have to admit, I love your cover and the gold on the cover of your presentation. So I'm going to drop off and bring up your presentation for you and let you introduce yourself. But welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. And we love the gold on the presentation cover as well. That's really what we're after. That's an actual sample from our Kendall prospect, and it kind of led to the current iteration of CanStar. If we go to the next slide, you'll see a similar disclaimer as the other companies. So I'm going to make some forward-looking statements, and then we'll really get to the meat of what this is. And I'm sure the people on this call are all aware that Central Newfoundland has emerged as one of the most exciting gold exploration districts in the world right now. And I think there are good reasons for that. When you look at some of the intercepts and the grades that are coming out of specifically the Queensway project lately, which is owned by Newfound Gold, that's a world-class discovery, and it's just getting started. And it's on a structure that likely extends right across. It's actually multiple structures, but they extend right across the island of Newfoundland. And when we saw some of the early results in 2020 coming out of the Queensway project, that's when we, with the help of Altius Minerals, started putting together a claim block that's focused in South Central Newfoundland. And so right now we hold 774 kilometers of claims, and these are all in a very similar tectonic setting and with similar geology to what we see to the north, where some of these recent discoveries have been made. So we're pretty excited about that, especially because historically there's been very little exploration down on these claims. There were some known gold anomalies, but to date, less than 20,000 meters have been drilled, and so there's tremendous discovery potential. Even with the little work that's been done historically, and then some of the work that we've done just over the past year and a half, what we have identified is there's over 40 kilometers in high-grade gold anomalies at surface. So that's only at surface. These are grab samples, but what that tells you, between just the sheer size of that trend as well as some of the grades of the materials found, is that there have been some significant gold mineralizing events that have taken place here. The best we found, and actually that picture on the cover that Janet pointed out, that's the best grab sample to date. That graded 4,485 grams per ton of gold. And so that's been the area really where we've done the majority of our exploration work. So we drilled 36 holes there in 2021. 32 of those came back with mineralized intercepts. That was near surface gold, good grades and decent intercepts, and that's still open. So we actually just last month completed another drill campaign at the Kendall prospect. That's another 39 holes for which results are pending. And I'll just touch on, I guess, the best drill result from last year, which is highlighted here. And that was about 9.6 grams per ton over 7.8 meters. So, and that was within 5 meters from surface. So this is very shallow, high grade, very promising, but on a big property with a lot of ground still to cover. To do that work, we've assembled a very strong technical team as well as board and technical advisors. So I think we've got the makings of all the things you need for major gold discovery. If you can go to the next slide, Janet. So this is a pretty busy slide, but it's busy because it's the central portion of our claim block. And what this shows is various targets that we have within the claim blocks, which are denoted by the jagged red lines. The circles and triangles that you see here are all anomalous gold samples on the property. And what you can see is there's a pretty clear linear trend. In fact, there are probably several parallel linear trends of gold mineralization. And end to end, this is that 40-kilometer trend. And it's bookmarked to the north at Hart Hill, and then the southwest by the Kendall Southwest Extension by grab samples up to 60 grams per ton of gold. So these are pretty high grade. And in between, we've got a really solid stretch. It's about 6 kilometers at the bottom of the slide here. And that's because of the work that we've done there, really, because we've got a small team and we're limited by resources as well as just access. But every time we send out prospectors, they come back with more high-grade gold samples. So I think what's going to happen over time is you're going to see some of the gaps in here get filled in with the work that we did last year with till sampling, with soil sampling. We've got new targets for this year as well. We've got a big program planned. So pretty excited to see how this unfolds. But even for an early stage gold exploration project, with the work that's been done here, very strong indications of some significant mineral deposits. And then if you can go to the next slide, Janet, we'll just touch on the company. So the company has just over 100 million shares outstanding currently. 26% of those are held by Eric Sprott, who is obviously a big fan of Newfoundland and the gold potential there. Alpheus Minerals, another major shareholder at 9%. And then in terms of the team, we've assembled a very strong team, both on the ground and the field in Newfoundland, as well as some good technical directors. And they're supported by 3 technical advisors who have just tremendous experience in gold exploration. All 3 have PhDs in geology and are actively involved in terms of guiding our program. We started the year with about 7 million in cash, and of that, about 6 million is earmarked for the exploration program this year, which is already well underway with the winter drill program that I mentioned. But with the expanded team and the size of this program, we're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to cover many claims that have seen no exploration work to date, and then we're going to be following up on both Kendall prospect, where we've got the high-grade success from drilling already, as well as a number of other targets. So with all of that, between the team, between the property, and between just the gold showings that we have, very confident that we're going to make some new high-grade gold discoveries this year, which hopefully translates into significant shareholder value and a much higher share price. And that's all I had, Janet.
I am back. Thank you. Appreciate that, Rob. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and ask Joel and Mark to join us back on the screen. And first of all, if there's anyone that has any questions, there's a tab on your control panel. You can write in your questions and I'll put them forward to the panel. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We have a good turnout. And I think before anything, the common theme, I think we need to thank Eric Sprott for having confidence in these companies and in the jurisdiction. And with that, also would like to have a little bit of a discussion with the panel on the jurisdiction of Newfoundland and Labrador, and specifically the importance of regulatory certainty. One of the things we all have to deal with is drill permits and other permits in order to advance our projects. And it's exciting when we see Marathon Gold approved to advance their Valentine project. So maybe I'll just start in order. Mark, anything you'd like to say about the importance of, as an investor, to a good jurisdiction with really a nice system?
Sure, Janet. A few years ago, when I was living and working in Manitoba, I had in addition to my operations role with Valley Canada, I had the pleasure of being the head of the Manitoba Association, Mining Association, and we described for cabinet in that jurisdiction what we called the 3 C's that they needed to focus on to improve economic development, the prospects for mining-related economic development in the province, and those were capacity, competitiveness, and certainty. And so capacity in terms of infrastructure in the province and services, as well as the relevant government department's ability to process permits and keep things moving along, and also community capacity to actively and effectively participate in consultations and the various stages of approval as projects mature. Competitiveness is obvious enough in terms of fees and taxes and the cost of doing business in a given jurisdiction, and then certainty is critical. You need to know the rules of the road before you're able to decide whether to set out on a journey, and to know that things are going to be fairly certain along the way. And in terms of capacity, competitiveness, and certainty, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador certainly has all of those in spades. They have done a great job over the years, some pretty lean decades, really, in terms of exploration in the province. They nevertheless persevered and put the physical and digital infrastructure in place that has allowed all of us to acquire and electronically map stake, which still isn't even available everywhere across the country, and get in and hit the ground running because of the province's ability to, and willingness and desire to work with the industry to make sure that the information and resources are available to us, and permits get processed in a timely manner, and that all the expertise that the provincial department has to bring is available to those of us in private industry who are embarking on this journey in the province. So it's been said many times over the last couple of years, but I just can't say enough good things about the people and the province and the provincial government and the local governments and populations in Newfoundland and Labrador, who certainly are welcoming this burgeoning Newfoundland gold rush with open arms.
Thanks so much, Mark. Yeah, you really, I think you hit it on so many fronts. I had the fortune of working in a mining town in northern Canada. 2/3 of the population was from Newfoundland, and amazing people, wonderful families, really wanted to go home and work. So it's nice to be part of something where that's happening. So Joel, I'm going to hand it off to you if you'd like to add anything about the importance of certainty to our investors. You're on mute there.
Marathon, given that Marathon is our next door neighbor, we're watching that regulatory issue with significant attention. They have received their provincial approval, which is excellent. There were some issues that I thought they previously had an environmental permit granted, then they were sent back for comments. So they've received provincial approval. Now they're still waiting for the federal level approval. And given the federal environment minister has at times been adversarial perhaps to mineral exploitation projects, there's that's the source of perhaps some uncertainty. So actually right now it's a bit of an overhang on their share price. So they've cleared the provincial hurdle. They're waiting for the federal one. I actually took some comfort, I think it was over the last week or so, that the federal Minister of Environment, the same guy, he approved a massive offshore oil project in Newfoundland. And so I think that, that bodes well for an approval coming from Marathon. And after that, Marathon's off to the races and putting their mine into, completing construction and into production. So I think that's good, but Mark's definitely covered it on the Newfoundland side. Excellent jurisdiction to work in. You can make a phone call and someone picks up the phone and actually talks to you to get things done. So that is critical. And if your investors are used to investing in offshore jurisdictions and mineral exploration plays, at least here you don't have to worry about the government taking your project, and you can get real people on the phone, and things are digitized in terms of staking and recording. So it's a very good jurisdiction in which to do mineral exploration.
Thank you. Yeah, I've emailed people and phoned, and it's same day service. It's it's unbelievable. I love it. And really important, I think one of the things that you've just mentioned, talking about the certainty. I don't see another sector that offers the opportunities for rural employment, rural business building like our sector. And really happy to see a jurisdiction that's like-minded. So Rob, I'm going to hand it off to you if you'd like to add anything on the topic.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, my background is really more equity research and investment. And so I tend to look things more from an investment point of view. But that's certainly important here, because when you're looking at mining, and the three companies here are early exploration, so we're spending relatively small amounts. But over time, if we make a discovery, you're going to see tens or hundreds of millions get invested here, and potentially, if it's big enough, there'll be $1 billion mine. And those are tremendous investment dollars, and you have to attract that capital. And that capital really wants this type of regulatory certainty as well. So it's important at this stage, just in terms of getting permits and getting and being able to make a discovery. But in terms of the bigger picture too, this is absolutely critical. And I think I've done a lot of work in Latin America, so I'll kind of highlight some of the comparisons there. And what tends to happen there, or what is happening there, is where mining is more established, it's now being seen as a cash cow. And especially in this inflationary environment, gasoline prices are going up, food prices are going up, the populations are hurting, and the government wants to get reelected. So what they do is they look around, see who's making money, see who has commodities that are going up, and they're going to come after them for more tax dollars and more subsidies, or a bigger share of the pie. So I think the fact that we're talking about gold discoveries in a jurisdiction like Newfoundland is just incredible. I mean, we've got infrastructure, there's power, there's water, you've got resources, hopefully repatriate some of those workers from other provinces as well. But yeah, this is just fantastic that in our own yard, we have this potential. And I guess the last point I'll touch on is it's the people in the regulatory environment that's in place now, but it's also the attitudes, and that's one of the positive things about Newfoundland as well. There's a positive attitude towards mineral resources. There's a desire on the part of the government and the government workers to streamline processes. They are very busy, obviously, right now. But yeah, there's a great attitude there, and it's a wonderful place to work.
Yeah, I think you're right. First world jurisdiction with infrastructure and the right attitude. And the thing that I appreciate from the government is they've been through tough times in the province. They know what it's like. They've lost their cod fishing industry. They don't want that. They want prosperity for the people of the jurisdiction, and they know that capital is mobile and people have choices. So offering the best package for investment and including certainty is important. There's so many other advantages to Newfoundland, but I'm really glad we had a chance to talk about this one today. Before we wrap up, I wanted to give each of you a opportunity to give your elevator pitch on your company, 30 seconds on why we would invest in Gander Gold, and then we'll keep going through. So Mark, take it away.
Great, thanks, Janet. Well, Gander Gold's a brand new company. It's got a tight public float with lots of upside potential in the share price. So investors looking at it should feel good about the team we've put together, both on the board and in operations and as technical advisors, with Roniker McKenzie Geoscience, Middleton Geoscience, and Sean Ryan all working in the background with our team of direct employees and officers, myself, Sean McGrath, and Ian Fraser. We have a great land position in Newfoundland, the largest you'll find, and we think that's going to translate into real discovery potential over the next couple of years as the program develops and matures. Strong cash position, strong financial backing from our key stakeholders, and like I said, a tight public float in the share structure. So all the elements you would want, including the jurisdiction in which we operate. And our tagline for Gander Gold is all Newfoundland all the time. So we're looking forward to getting back there to the rock in the next few weeks and getting the 2022 season underway to follow up on all of last year's exciting first pass results.
And GAND on the CSE. Thank you, Mark. Joel.
I guess True Precious Metals, you've got a hell-bent CEO with high insider ownership. We do have a very solid team, like operationally as well, on exploration front. I think really our mission here is to build long-term shareholder value through prudent natural resource property development and transactions. And I'd say we're trying to follow kind of the Brookfield model, which is gradually to build out a diversified portfolio of inflation-resistant natural resources assets. So Rome's not built in a day. It's going to take us a while, but keep an eye out. We'll be churning out news flow as best we can and fundamental developments to build the company over time.
Thank you. And TRU on the TSXV. And finally, Rob.
Yeah, so Canstar is 25 million market cap company, so lots of upside from exploration and discovery, and we're pretty excited for this year because the $6 million exploration program that we have budgeted, that's definitely the biggest program that's been run on these properties to date. We've got an expanded team as well, so this will be the first year where we actually go out to a number of prospects that have been identified that the geos just haven't had a chance to look at yet. So I think there are going to be a number of new discoveries on the property, and hopefully, given the indications of high-grade gold at surface, some of those turn into something really exciting.
Thank you. And that's ROX on the TSXV. Rob, you stole my favorite symbol, ROX. I want to thank everybody today. I know we've had a few questions, but we've had a nice discussion on, I think, an important topic that makes Newfoundland and all of our companies here today stronger with certainty. I want to thank everybody for their time today. We know it's valuable and we appreciate you joining us. Newfoundland Gold's going to run these webinars every couple of weeks, so we'll keep you posted on the developments of our companies in our group. Also, an update, we are going to be at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference in May, and we will also be at PDAC in June. So we hope to get to meet a number of you in person. Any questions? You've got the contact information on the presentation for each company, or you can reach us at info@newfoundland.gold, and we will reach out to the respective company. Thank you again to Mark, Joel, and Rob for your time today. And thank you everybody for joining us. Please join us again and have a wonderful day, and go Newfoundland and Labrador.